Hey beauties, good morning to you. Beautiful people. I'm one of the TikTokers that mean well. And meaning well doesn't mean that I'm going to all sound all lovely and luscious and sweet all the time. Sometimes we have to be a little bit tough because we have to sound tough because that's the only way that change can be created. Even Jesus displayed that when he really beat the money changers out of the synagogue. Not for what people thought. Really, it's not so much of a gambling message, but it was especially a man or two. I don't remember the name of the men who Jesus had basically reprimanded vehemently, and they were not liking of it. They were not in liking, and they were upset and whatnot. And so it's more than just what people think in terms of beating the money changers out of the synagogue. When he did that, in other words, he had to employ some serious disciplinary actions, I should say. My beautiful Jamaicans, listen to me. By and large, I don't want to use this word, but maybe this is a word that you may be able to understand. Many are dunce. It's not just being dunce. It's like they're oafs. They're like dolts. They're doltish. They're simpletons. There is some disconnect with knowledge, being wise in their minds, or there's some disconnect with knowledge entering their brain cells. There's a disconnect with wisdom entering their brain cells. So they lack emotional intelligence, and they also lack, because of that, they also lack intelligence quotients, meaning knowledge. When I look at people's posts sometimes and I hear them talking about something and I look at the comments, I say to myself, it seems as if they were listening to the message on a different planet where alien language was being spoken to them, not human language, because there's a complete a dichotomy. It's like night saying it's day and day saying it's night. Although I'm looking at the bright sunlight and it's saying it's night. I wouldn't even bother talk about the improper grammar and the bad spelling or the wrong spelling. You don't know what they're writing. You cannot even read it. There are no punctuation marks where the correct or right punctuation marks. So everything is written in one, plus with a bad spelling, with a bad grammar or incorrect grammar. And then the comment is without critical thinking skills being employed. There is no mental ability skills being employed. You wonder to yourself, oh my God, I'm wondering if it's a baby that was just born that was writing this. Because the baby that's just born is like a blank slate. They don't know anything as yet, and they're slowly learning. So they are slowly being filled up. It is so dunce. I don't know what other word to use. Honestly, I hate having to use that word when we're dealing with people, because I know in some cases it's not really dunce, people dunce, sometimes it's because of the environment in which they live. Some people say they're tough, they can't take book. Some people are more wired academically, while some are wired in terms of their skills that God had given them. Notwithstanding, the Bible says, by your gifts and your talents, He will use it to make room for you in order for you to become wealthy and famous and popular and be influential in the lives of others. It's your skills and your talents. However, your education can harness and hone that and make it even sharper. Sometimes I would want you to look at what you write before you click send. Look at it, because I don't know if you yourselves would understand it. Because if you were to read it back to yourself, I doubt you would get it. Because if you're struggling in terms of your knowledge and your wisdom and your understanding plus critical thinking skills, it may look like dog language to you. It's almost like a dog trying to write human language. So in other words, I don't know when the dog is barking, I don't know what the dog is saying. So it's me trying to interpret it that way. My Jamaicans, I'm encouraging you, even if you want to become a musician, even if you want to become a football and athlete, whatever career path that may not be the traditional career path or the traditional one, just decide that, you know what, even for self-actualization purposes too, to be able to effectively communicate with people, even if you want to connote something negative, Say to yourself, is what I'm writing sensible or nonsensical? Doltish, is it like I'm an oaf, like I'm a simpleton? Go and look at these words that I'm telling you. I'm deliberately calling these words because you may not know the meaning, and I want you to know the meaning of it, or the meanings of these words. It's like your brain left you, like you were not born with one. You're just like although you have a head, you're like a headless chicken. That it's just empty, like a big barrel. And I'm not saying this to be rude. I really and truly am not. Many of you, unfortunately, are dunce. Without critical thinking skills, without emotional intelligence, without knowledge, meaning without intelligence quotient, you're not applying your knowledge correctly. Somebody may be, for example, talking about the moon and what the moon can do for you, and you come and you start to create a vitriol as to why the person talking about the rock stone on the ground. You wonder, what? How did this even come into what I'm talking about? It's frightening to say the very least. Even the man who, a lot of people figure that man who was talking about Miss Kitty the time, and basically, I guess it broke his heart that she got married. He was talking about something, and he said, boy, many of you, I'm going to try and see if I can be a teacher at the basic school level, at the primary school level, something like that he was saying, because what he said makes sense, whatever he was talking about, as it relates to something that the commissioner had talked about with the gender neutrality. Like he had to explain it to people, because how they were speaking is like they thought they were talking about gender equality. And he said, I know that many of you are dunce and stupid. I'm not going to be so harsh in my description but I don't know, there is something wrong. We cannot just be at 138th place or 37th place for no reason at all. Even in recent times, when they tell you that the students are at high school are reading at basic school level, some high schools reading at grade 4 or below. In fairly recent times, and we saw those quick successions of these reports coming out, it tells a story of the younger generation, what is happening with them. And even when you hear them speak and how their reasons, it's not even about using our Jamaican dialect. It's not about using our patois or the Creole. It's about the lack of sensibility that is coming from them, plus the bad grammar, as they would say, the bad spelling, incorrect word being used. I don't know. Sometimes I read it and say, what the heck is this? What on earth is this? And when I use E.T. writing, and when I say E.T., the extraterrestrial being, Jamaicans, you have to find a way to get knowledgeable, even if you don't go the formal way like that in terms of enrolling in a school. Even if someone has to teach you on the side. I don't care what profession you want to, but get to a point where your critical thinking skills is sharper than a razor. Your knowledge is sharper than a razor. The more I read, and I read a lot, I realize, oh my God, there's so many things I didn't know. So I can imagine you who don't read. There's anything you want to hide from black people, just put it in a book. But I want to streamline it and say this. Anything you want to hide from Jamaicans, put it in a book. Because 3/4 of the things that you're promulgating in the air, they're fake and they're false. They're not even factual. They're not truthful. Not truthful as against lies. It tantamount to a lie. But you think what you're saying is fact, and it is not. We run with things that are so incorrect that it isn't funny. And then to put the icing and the cherry on top, incorrect spellings, bad grammar, no punctuation marks, so you can't get the feeling of what somebody's saying or the mood of what somebody's saying. Even to a small extent. I can understand, even moderately, because you can't get feeling and emotion from reading a text. But based on your punctuation and based on how you write things, you may have an idea of the mood in which they're saying something, especially if they use an emoji with it. The dunceness is too dunce. The dunceness afraid of the dunce because it dunce bad. I know that sounds, it's too negative. You guys, dunce bad, dunce is bad. So, but I have to say it that way for you to get it. Get educated, get critical thinking skills. Go back and enrolling Jamal. It's no longer Jamal, it's what? Jamaica Foundation for Lifelong Learning or something like that. I don't remember the name of it. But yeah, you may have to enroll in there or some remedial classes. But this dunceness has got to go. It has got to go. Please. Guys, follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share this message.